Welcome to the Tavern Between Dimensions, a monthly tabletop podcast. My name is Carl Durdesh, and I shall be your bartender for your time here today. Joining me for service is the Dungeon Master for the Explorers of Elsewhere channel, Dan Tyree.
Mellow.
And silver medalist at the Winter Olympics, Anton Bain.
That's right. Hi there.
How is everyone today?
Doing good?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Hope this will be a good one. We've got no guests today.
No, unfortunately, yes. The dimensions have gone back to normal, so we haven't needed extra help. But maybe one day we'll get someone else in the now missing fourth panel.
We'll make up for it.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. I mean, anything at the moment before we jump in? Anything we want to talk about? Any sort of like tabletop experiences? Anything like that?
Started Shadowrun, which is not really Shadowrun, I guess.
That is true. Shadowrun's now on the channel.
We played a cyberpunk-esque game heavily influenced by the Shadowrun universe, Anton. We also did some charity streams.
Yes, we did. Yes.
That's true.
I suspect that this is going to be some time since we did the charity streams when this goes live. But yes, we were helping the Bristol RPG Hangout group raise money as part of the Gaming for Good drive throughout a portion of February through our actions and the actions of other people from Bristol RPG Hangouts. As of the time of recording, we have raised £450.
Hey, that's pretty good. And more importantly, we saved Jason Statham.
You saved it.
Like, how amazing is that?
Yes, if you haven't played it, Jason Statham's big vacation is highly recommended.
Yes.
Cool.
Right, well, in that case, let's jump straight into it, shall we? So now we're going to BYOB, where we build wacky and interesting builds. Anton, do you want to take it away?
Sure. So, today, we have decided to finish off the 4 classic builds of D&D, and we've got wizards, but we've decided we don't just want any, old wizard, peering inside their books and scrolls and all that. No.
Books are for nerds.
Wizards are for nerds. No, we want cool wizards. Now, we haven't exactly defined what a cool wizard is, but that's what we're going to get today. So, Dan, you've got a build for us, and then I've got one after. What have you made?
So, when I think of wizards, I think a lot of people will think of like the book and the dusty tomes and the studying, maybe by candlelight. And there's a very specific theme, a feel, a flavor that kind of goes with the wizard, right? So, in my attempt to launch all of that out of the window,
Sure.
I kind of I had wizard at one end of the spectrum, and when I got out the binoculars, peered to the other end of the spectrum, what I saw was guns. Okay, so
Okay.
I would like to present Valentina Demares. She is for want of a better word, a gun mage. Now, once upon a time, I used to be very interested in it was a setting for a tabletop. So Privateer Press's Iron Kingdoms setting. So originally started off as a tabletop game, has recently transitioned to a 5th edition-esque rules for the tabletop. One of their big kind of iconic concepts is the gun mage. And it simply is a gunslinger who empowers themselves and their weapons with magic. It's a cool idea. Let's see if we can do it in 5th edition. So what we're going to do with Valentina, so she's a human variant because
Best human class.
it's really hard not to be variant human. So actually, that's a good point to get off the bat with. A lot of this build is deliberately left blank because there's a lot of points where you can kind of customize this build for your own flavoring. So the things that I filled out are the kind of the core crucial parts. Also, another side note, just check with your DM ahead of time to make sure your campaign setting has guns. That's quite a core part of a gun mage. So
Probably, yeah.
yeah. So the DM's not allowed to complain when you start with Artificer 1 because Artificers are now part of the Tasha's rulebook as opposed to Eberron, so they can't say that it's from a different campaign book anymore. So you start with Artificer 1, which is cool because relatively few people play Artificer anyway. What Artificer does give you is a saves in Constitution and Intelligence. So having
good.
a Constitution save is going to be very, very handy for a wizard with all of those concentration spells down the road. You're also going to get a number, quite a large number of proficiencies. Medium armor, shields, simple weapons, all the tools you can shake your tool bag at. Including thieves' tools and tinker's tools and so on and so forth. As an optional extra, an artificer can also become proficient in firearms. Now, weirdly, that's a bit of a moot point in this build because as a variant human, our first level feat, as part of variant human, we're going to grab the gunner feat from Tasha's. Which gives you proficiency in firearms. I suppose if you're not playing a variant human, then you can use the artificer to grab the proficiency anyway, but this just kind of doubles down.
And gives you +1 dex as well. Yeah.
+1. So the gunner feat also gives you +1 dex. It allows you to shoot your pistols or your firearms in like melee range, and it also allows you to ignore the load property of a firearm, which will be important further down the road.
For multi-attack, yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of these stats, obviously, I say we picked up +1 dexterity from Gunner. So we know we're going to need high dex and high intelligence for the shooty, the gun, and the mage. So strength we'll leave at 10. Dexterity we'll take to 15. 14, bump it up with variant human, bump it up again with Gunner. Intelligence is 16, so take that to 15, bump it up with human. Wisdom and charisma are 10. You could have Constitution 10. Now, you've actually got some space for flexibility here. I have put my Constitution up to 13. You've kind of got those 3 points floating around, so you can kind of do what you want with it. 13 Constitution is arguably a bit of a waste, but it gets you the +1 hit point per level, which, if you're a squishy wizard, is also kind of handy. And +1 to concentration saves as well.
So max dexterity, max intelligence. Sweet.
Yeah, and then whatever else for whatever else.
Depending what fits your concept, I guess.
Precisely. Artificer will also give you a handful of skills, as will your background, and variant human gives you an additional skill. Again, choose what you want. In my build, I picked up Arcana, Perception. That's always handy. Yeah, just whatever, pick up history, just whatever fits your mold. So we now have a level 1 artificer running around with a studded leather coat with a pea shooter. At level 2, we then switch over to wizard. It's also a spell an intelligence-based class, so you've already got the intelligence 13 to step across over into it. With a wizard, there's some overlap with your spell list between wizard and artificer, but there are spells that are unique to one another. So, through the wizards, you're not getting any additional proficiencies through the multi-class, but you are getting an additional 3 cantrips. You're getting 6 wizard spells to kickstart with, combined with the 2 cantrips you've got from Artificer at level 1. They're very much like clerics, so you can simply prepare a certain number of spells per day from the whole. You choose from the whole list. So yeah, by the end of level 2, you're actually equipped with, if my maths is correct, 7 level 1 spells and 5 cantrips.
Okay.
So you've started to get that breadth, and the artificer choices, there's some really good cleric spells in there that, so as a wizard you can kind of pilfer those and feel good about yourself. Level 3, you carry on the wizard train, and we pick up the Blade Singer. With the Blade Singer, again, gives you a couple of proficiencies. The light armor, kind of moot, because Artificer's already given us medium armor, although there's a caveat to that, and I'll come back to in a moment. You get proficiency in performance. Cool. You get proficiency in a melee weapon of your choice. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not a sword mage or an axe mage. We're a gun mage. So
you already have the proficiencies from Artificer,
Yeah.
anyways.
So the whole point about the Blade Singer is arguably the Blade Song. Up to proficiency times per day, you can activate a Blade Song which lasts for a minute. On this build, as it currently stands, that will then give you +3 AC, +10 foot of movement, advantage on acrobatics because gun mages are definitely super flippy, and +3 on any concentration saves.
DM Dan, a quick question there. Can you use Blade Song with medium armor?
You cannot, which is where we come to our caveat. So, at this point, we've actually been wearing a studded leather coat because it looks swish as hell.
You definitely want that sort of gunslinger billow. You definitely want a gunslinger billow.
Like the Matrix coat.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the
Yes.
studded leather coat has been light armor all along. Arguably, on the way up to level 3, you could have worn medium armor for an extra pip or two, but yeah, style over personal safety.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a preference. You can also you could be casting mage armor instead because you're getting the wizard spell slots. You're getting more spell slots than just a raw artificer might have. So you could potentially afford to cast mage armor on yourself for 8 hours, and then that will set your armor class to 16 as base. Plus 13 plus your dex mod leaves you at
Okay, it's
16.
not too bad.
When you then hit a blade song, you will rocket up to 19
Oh,
base.
wow.
So now if you're a human, you're a 40-foot movement, AC 19, magical madman running around with a pistol.
I assume you have shield in there as well.
You have shield, so in those, like, I should stress that whilst your AC is high, your hit point total is not.
Glass cannon.
Yeah, you're literally the glass cannon. So yes, shield, which will boost you up to 24 AC temporarily. That should save you from a lot of hassle. There are other spells that I would highly recommend, which I'll wrap round to in the end. Once we've got the Blade Singer, we're kind of starting to get the identity together. So at level 4, we go back to Artificer. Artificer 2. The main, arguably, the core staple of the Artificer class is the infusions. So these are 4 infusions that you can pick at level 2, which are kind of temporary buffs, pseudo permanent buffs, really. And there's a huge range of things that you can choose. Again, there's only one that I'm interested in. The other 3, completely up to you to choose how you see fit. The one that I'm concerned with is Repeating Shot, which is an infusion you can place on a ranged weapon. That then gives you +1 to hit and +1 damage. If your weapon ignores the loading property, which you already do thanks to Gunner, but if your weapon has no ammo in it, it magically creates a piece of ammo every time you go to shoot it.
So you don't need to reload.
And you don't need to reload. So your gun is now an actual magic gun. Pew, pew, pew. And also, as part of the Artificer spellcasting rules, any infused item that you are holding can be used as your spellcasting focus. So now, your gun is your wand. You can shoot fireballs out of your gun.
So you get to choose. You can either shoot it as a pistol, or you can use it as a firebolt
You
dispenser.
can choose to shoot firebolts, ice knives, yeah, whatever.
Poison spray out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So at level 5, we stay on the Artificer train and we pick up the Artillerist. Now, one potential problem with multi-classes is that they start to fall behind in 2 important aspects: ability score increases and extra attacks. At level 5, when you pick up Artillerist, you have the ability to build the Eldritch Cannon, which again is a very customizable thing. Again, completely up to you. You can choose for it to be small or tiny, legs or no legs. If you create a small-legged thing, you effectively have a sentient turret that's running around shooting things alongside you. You could choose to have a tiny no-legged arc Eldritch Cannon, and now you're dual-wielding.
I feel like at this point you're just playing Overwatch.
Yes. There is some confusion with Blade Song. You lose your Blade Song if you hold a weapon in 2 hands, but you're not holding a weapon in 2 hands, you're holding 2 weapons in a hand each. So that is allowed. And because one gun is your spell focus, that counts as your free hand for casting. So you're absolutely fine in that regard. One thing to bear in mind though, the Eldritch Cannon in hand does have its own AC and hit points and whatnot. So if you were hit by an AoE, theoretically your gun could get destroyed, unlike your normal pistol, just as a little rules interaction, but the concept's cool. You're dual wielding magic pistols. Eldritch Cannon then gives you a range of alternate fire options. So when you create it, you can choose the Force Ballista, which does 2d8 force damage and knocks things backwards. You can do a 15-foot flamethrower cone, or you can do a temporary hit point heal thing. So at that point, you truly are kind of playing Overwatch because you're shooting people and they're getting better.
I will heal you with my bullets.
Heal you with the bullets. Artillerist also comes with 2 additional spells, which are just handy. Have Shield and Thunderwave. So if you were preparing shield on your wizard list, you no longer have to because Artillerist gives it to you for free. Finally, at level 5, your cantrips all upgrade. So the chances are you've taken Firebolt since level 2 when you picked up Wizard, and now that Firebolt is doing 2d10 damage instead of a standard d10. And because this is a Wizard build, and I have to at least balance it out, level 6 we go back to Wizard, get a 3rd level Wizard, and access to the 2nd level spells, which is when you start to see some shenanigans.
So then you got 2nd level spell slots all the way, and you can level up into Artificer or Wizard thereafter.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it gets to a point with, especially when you hit level 5 and you're Artificer 3, Wizard 2, in term, like a lot of other classes will be getting kind of extra damage on, say, cantrips or extra attacks. You find yourself in a position where, because the Eldritch Cannon can be fired as a bonus action, you can action shoot your pistol or shoot a firebolt and then bonus action on the Eldritch. And that's, in inverted commas, your 2 attacks, keeping up with everyone else. I haven't kind of gone into it here, but looking ahead, when you get to, like, because you would stick with Wizard all the way from here on out. So you end up being Artificer 3, Wizard, whatever. But at level 9, when you pick up Bladesinger 6, you actually get an extra attack from Bladesinger. So you can make 2 attacks, and then you can substitute one of those for a cantrip. So you're in a position where you can shoot your pistol twice and then fire the Eldritch Cannon, or you could offer a buffet and do pistol, firebolt, Eldritch Cannon, 1, 2, 3, bam, bam, bam. A tragedy in 3 parts. So yes, that's fundamentally the build. You are this nimble, snippy thing that's really difficult to tie down. You're tough to hit, but just try not to take damage ever. And you're bouncing around like a lunatic, shooting fireballs out of a gun.
It's a proper gunslinger, basically, a magical gunslinger.
Yes, and it's really evocative of the gun mages from Iron Kingdoms. In terms of the spells then, what I've end up with at level 6, so we have Mending and Guidance from Artificer as cantrips, Firebolt, Mage Hand and Prestidigitation from Wizard. It's just a good spread. Artificer, first levels will take Absorb Elements, because there are some attacks that you just can't avoid with your high AC, so at the very best, you hope you dodge them and then reduce the damage again. Cure Wounds, because that's on the Artificer list and it's not on the Wizard list, and that's actually very useful. And you're very mobile, and you're not on the front line, so you can probably run around patching people up while still rooty-tooty point and shooting. Featherfall for those super dramatic entrances. You've got a choice: False Life or Sanctuary. False Life makes you a bit more tanky by giving you, a bit more survivable, I should say, by giving you temporary hit points. Sanctuary, you can cast that on someone else, and it protects them from enemy attacks, hopefully. And as long as you haven't cast it on yourself, you can keep attacking. As long as the warded Sanctuary-bound person does not attack, the spell carries on. So if there's someone critically low on health, you could chuck a Sanctuary on them and then run away, and that will keep the Sanctuary up. And Thunderwave, because we all love close range booms. Wizard, we're going to pick up Magic Missile for those things that are a little too far away to hit. Mage Armor, just to keep that armor up. Long Strider for when you really need an extra 10-foot of movement, for 50-foot movement when you're blade singing. And why not? We're a wizard, so Detect Magic or Identify, cast it as a ritual. It's kind of why they bring you along in the party. Wizard will then give us 2 second levels spells. We're going to go with Blur, because what's worse than trying to hit something with AC 24? Trying to hit something with AC 24 with disadvantage.
Yeah.
And Invisibility. You're in light armor, you've got a relatively high dexterity, so you're going to be quite sneaky. And then you can unload all the guns at point blank range. And that is my gun singer.
Gunslinger. You're cool wizard, I guess.
It's definitely a cool wizard, isn't it? It's
got a nice style that goes with it.
Yeah, taking that book, shooting it, and then feeding the paper as the muzzle stuff that you put in under the gunpowder.
It's actually, you just screw a barrel into the side of a book and it's... And it was a bit of a thought process, but that's what I came up with. What did you come up with, Anton?
Right. So the mandate was make a cool wizard.
Yes.
And I always multiclass. Every single character I make is multiclass. So I was like, I could do a fighter wizard. Too easy. You go Eldritch Knight. I could do a rogue wizard. Done too many rogues. I'm tired of it. Cleric wizard. All right. For one level of cleric, it's usually pretty good if you can get heavy armor out of it. No. I didn't go for any of this. I decided to take one level of barbarian to make a cool wizard.
Oh, you madman!
Yeah.
You madman!
This is a terrible idea.
It's an awful idea!
It is an awful idea mainly because if you rage, you cannot cast spells
Or
or
concentrate!
or concentrate on a spell, which is kind of the main point of a wizard. However, we have circumvented this maybe.
Uh-huh.
So let me run through the build.
Right.
So I've come up with Kelvin, who is an Eladrin, Barbarian 1. So you start with Barbarian, Wizard 6, Folk Hero. So I've kind of got a bit of that fey crazy energy going, which we will need to understand this build.
Uh-huh.
I have dumped intelligence as low as I can, which is 13, right? Because
good start, right?
and I've
Cool
also
wizard.
and I've also didn't put any points into strength, which is also at 13, the minimum for barbarian and the minimum for wizard.
Right.
What we have done is put dexterity at 18, so we bumped up dexterity and we bumped up con. Because we're not going to be raging, we're not going to be doing any of that, right? The reason we want high dexterity and high con is because of unarmored defense, which you get at level 1
Right.
barbarian. Your AC equals to 10 plus your dex plus your con. So because of that, I get 17 con, which is pretty good for a wizard.
Yeah, but you've got no intelligence!
But we have no intelligence. So all the spells that require intelligence, we're going to throw out the window. Okay? So we're not going to be casting direct spells. We're not going to be doing, fire bolts and all that. I'm going to be picking up shield, absorb elements, magic missile, find familiar, haste, shadow blade, and conjure fey. So basically defensive spells and conjuration spells.
Uh-huh.
And we're basically going to be hitting things with my high dexterity. You know, that's something. So you can shadow blade and haste, get some extra damage out of there. Okay.
Yeah.
And because we're going to be going into wizard, we're going to get blade song as well, same as Dan. We
Yeah.
will be getting extra attack at level 6. Although level 7 now, because we did take one level of Barbarian for that unarmored defense. Also, we took Barbarian because of con saves. So we can actually keep, my Shadow Blade and that haste up.
Okay.
Are you catching on so far?
Yeah, that's pretty
You're
good.
So that's why we go Barbarian. It's not for the rage. I mean, we can rage. It's just
you stop being a wizard when you
yeah,
rage.
you just can't do any of the wizardy stuff, but you can still hit things. Although, because we've used dexterity instead of strength, we don't get the +2 to the melee weapon damage.
Oh my God.
But we still have resistance, right? So worst comes, you can tank and hit things. That's not a problem.
No, but don't you get the resistance when you rage?
Yeah, but you can rage. That's
then
not the
again,
issue.
you're
You don't rage. You just can't
You
do
just-
anything else.
yeah,
you
it's
can
actually-
get angry and stand there.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's kind of where that's kind of the downside. But you're not
It's
really
less
meant to
of a
be
rage,
raging.
It's more of a migraine.
I have to say, this is the first build that I think fits into that category of wacky. Because so far we've been doing in BYB nothing but interesting builds. This is the first one where that criteria of wacky is really coming into play here, and I love it.
Let's be clear. My confidence is not very high with this build. I'm not even sure. I wouldn't call it overpowered, but I think may have broken Barbarian Wizard. I've found the niche where it kind of works.
I think the only one who's really decided to go Barbarian Wizard, because if I've ever looked up in the past, people have always said, do not do this. It does not work.
Well, I mean, debatable. I can rage and I can hit things with my Shadow Blade because I've got high dexterity.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Mhm.
I'll be honest. This build, this smells of like either hi, I'm the wizard and my DM forced me to take a level in barbarian, or like hi, when's the one shot? Like,
This might be a one-shot build, I must say. but listen, it's got AC 17, right? It's got a speed
Yeah.
of 30, 40 if you have
Yeah.
Blade Song. It's got, some pretty good hit points. Got 57 hit points, a nice selection of spells, and you can rage. It's like you can mix it up. You can be in the front, you can be at the back. Like what? This build does everything, Dan and Carl.
When you rage, you cease to be a barbarian 1 wizard 6, and you become
Barbarian
a
one.
barbarian 1.
But that has advantages, I think.
I mean, yeah, you get resistance to damage, but then you oh my god.
maybe the plan is you like rage, go into the middle of the fray, and then fireball yourself by ending the rage. Is that a thing?
But then you've lost the resistance, which is
I
what
don't
you're
know.
probably
Listen.
hoping for.
It's a build.
It's a build.
It's
But
a build.
listen, defensively, I think it's pretty good. It's meatier than a wizard, right?
Because it's a barbarian.
And yeah, and it's more spellcastery than a barbarian.
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose.
I mean, it's definitely surprising.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is like you took the one build that no one ever wanted to do and be like, this is what everyone wants.
Yeah, a dexterity barbarian and a low-end wizard. Two things you don't want, which work perfectly together. It's like Marmite and something else.
I do not speak ill about Marmite, but Dan, I have to. Does this classify as a cool wizard, or is this like a cool barbarian?
I've always found that wizards that cast Fist have been quite impressive to watch. Like, if nothing else, right? If nothing else, it is definitely a build. Like, if I had a character that was this build, it would be definitely the sort of kind of character that I wouldn't include in the party composition when trying to determine whether an encounter is balanced or not.
Oh, come on. Listen, this character can still hit things. Like, if I got Shadowblade up, I'm doing 2d8 times 2, 48 damage plus 4. It's something.
Yeah.
The con save is smart. I'll give it that. Taking Barbarian to get the con save is smart.
There you go.
It's then everything else that I question.
And unarmored defense. And if you need it, you can rage.
Okay, just in case, if there's something that we've missed out on. When you got to level 5 and you got the ability score increase, what did you go for? Was it more Constitution?
Yeah, more Dex and more Constitution.
Yeah, of
Right.
course, yeah.
Because it bumps your AC by like +2, so that's what I did.
Of course, no. Who am I to question?
Well, as always, hopefully we'll have these available soon. Hopefully by the time this comes out, we would have figured out a way of sharing them with you. So if you want to have a awesome gun mage join your campaign, or you want to sabotage yourself with a barbarian wizard, they should hopefully be down below. But with that, I think it's time to move on. Thanks for watching. We release segments like this from the Tavern Between Dimensions every Friday here on the Explorers of Elsewhere channel. Otherwise, if you want to listen to the episode in full, you can check us out on Spotify and Amazon Music.